Welcome back. President Trump declaring the historic meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin a success. In an interview with Sean Hannity on the Fox News channel last night, the president said Putin is going to help the United States deal with North Korea and nuclear weapons. Here's what he told the president. The president told Hannity last night.
You know, if you look at Russia and the United States, that's 90% of the nuclear weapons.
Two biggest nuclear powers.
Start doing something and working on other countries. And he also said he wants to be very helpful with North Korea. We're doing well with North Korea. We have time. There's no rush. You know, it's been going on for many years.
Joining us now to talk more about that, House Foreign Affairs Committee member, Congressman John Curtis of Utah. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Good morning.
Where do relations go with Russia from here? What do you think Russia can offer the United States? And what's your reaction to what took place in the meeting?
Yeah, you know, I think the most important thing is to remember Russia is not our friend. And history has proven that unless somebody stands up to Russia, they just keep on going.
Right. Are there any areas that you think Russia can be helpful to the United States? Having said that, he just talked to Sean Hannity about North Korea. Obviously, Syria and Iran is a major issue. Do you see any openings for Russia to actually be helpful to the United States? We know that he's not a friend.
Yeah, of course there are areas, but first of all, they've got to stop their bad behavior. They're breaking international law. They're intruding on borders. They're using cyber attacks, interfering with our elections. It's hard to imagine a place where we get that they actually help us until we can get past these points where they're trying to hurt us.
Well, to that point, Congressman, it's Dagan McDowell. What can you do as an elected representative to prevent meddling? What do you know to prevent meddling in the midterm elections and in 2020? What are we doing as a nation to stop it?
Well, I think we all feel frustrated that we're not doing enough. First of all, we know that they're aggressive, that they'll look for any opportunity, and that they won't follow their word. So I think all of us need to be vigilant and find every aspect and every opportunity to prevent this going forward.
Congressman, how did the president do yesterday in Helsinki in your assessment, and what does he need to do next after this meeting?
Well, I think what's frustrating people is it was almost like he was off-brand, right? His brand is being tough, and even with our good friends. And when he's not tough with somebody that's perceived to be our enemy, I think people find that frustrating.
And what does he need to do next after this frustrating performance?
Well, I think people would like to see him do what he does so well, and that's to be tough, to put United States first, and look out for our best interest.
Is there any way to stop Russia from undermining the West? We know that this has been taking place for decades. So is there any way to stop it?
Well, first we need to admit it and confront it and talk about it. And, you know, I think that's, here again, part of the frustration from yesterday.
Well, how about I just want to raise the issue, that incredible interview that Chris Wallace did with Vladimir Putin. Putin acknowledged, he essentially said with the hacked emails from the Clinton campaign, he said, well,
it was all true.
It was all true, which was just astonishing.
Yeah, he admitted it.
Right, everyone sitting at home, I think their mouths fell open when he admitted it.
Yeah,
exactly.
He did.
Yeah, and of course we're not surprised. We know that, right? And so it is good to hear it from him. But you also see that there is no feeling at all that, hey, we'll do this again.
So do you think that the president was not tough enough in that press conference because he feels that admitting that Russia is a bad actor puts him in a corner because the left has positioned it that there was collusion, even though we haven't seen any evidence of it?
You know, this is a president that never gets backed into a corner, right? I think here again, that's part of who he is. He'll say what needs to be said no matter what.
Yeah.
And
let me switch gears and ask you about China, sir, because the U.S. filing a complaint with the World Trade Organization now against China, the European Union, Canada, Mexico, and Turkey, the latest stage in tit-for-tat retaliations prompted by President Trump's decision to pursue tariffs earlier this year, citing national security interests and unfair trade practices. Again, China, a bad actor in many ways, stealing our intellectual property for decades. Is there any way to stop it?
Well, we have to stop it, and but this is evidence that nobody wins a trade war, and so I I would advocate that we need to recognize the imbalance. We need to recognize the manipulation of currency. We need to recognize the overproduction, all of those things. But there are a lot of tools in the toolbox that we need to be using that don't put American businesses and American jobs at risk.
Do you think that this gets to a point of escalation where Congress is going to actually have to act and put more binding language into policy about the president not putting tariffs into effect? I mean, the Senate passed a non-binding bill just recently about that. What do you see happening down the road?
Well, the Senate passed that 88-11, and that speaks loudly.
Yeah.
And the House is taking it up as well. And I think you're seeing the lawmakers feel like we do need a role in this, and we want to be involved.
What's your take on the tax conversation? The president's going to be meeting with members of Congress today at 2 p.m. to talk about tax reform 2.0. The president told me this was coming when I interviewed him last month. Here's what he said.
We're doing a phase 2. We'll be doing it probably in October, maybe a little sooner than that. And it'll be more of a middle class. We did a lot for the middle class, but this will be even more aimed at the middle class. One of the things we're thinking about is bringing the 21% down to 20%. And then for the most part, the rest of it would go right to the middle class.
And then there was House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady with me on Sunday, who basically laid out what he sees tax reform 2.0 looking like. Listen to this.
President Trump's tax cuts and reforms was about changing the economic direction of the country for the better. 2.0 is about changing the culture in Washington, where we don't wait 30 years between fixing the tax code. We get better every year. We continue to lead the rest of the world here. And so you're going to see, I think, permanence of the middle class cuts and those small business cuts will be the centerpiece of this. And people, I think, overlook the growth impact long term. That alone could help create 1.5 million new jobs in America, continue to raise paychecks significantly in the long term. So that'll be the centerpiece of it. We're working with the president on the rest of the elements of 2.0.
What would be your priority in terms of tax plan 2.0, Congressman?
Well, as Chairman Brady said, the permanency for individuals is just critical. I think that's something all of us want to do.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman John Curtis, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.